Um, Welcome back to Easy Start Tutoring. You're still chilling with your favorite tutor Mo. And in our previous video, if you've been watching our video series on our series does not have a plural. You cannot say series, but that's a thought for another day. And now, since we have been talking about arrays, I said that in our next video, which is this video, we're going to be discussing the negative indexing of an array. So in our previous video, I explained how the positive indexing of an array works, that you start counting from uh, 0, 1, 2, 3 up until the end of your array. So how the negative indexing works, which is what we saw in the last array, that for me to print my last name, Moffat, my first name Moffat, I had to print the last item in an array, and what I did, I used the -1 index, and indeed it did return my first name, which is Moffat, which is the last item in the array. But really, how did that work? How did the indexing of that method happen, or that indexing of that idea happen? So it happens, or intuitively, it happens just so that it's the opposite of what the positive counting is. When you positive count, or you're using the positive indexing of an array, you start counting from the left and you start counting from 0. So you say from left to right. Now with the negative, you start counting from right to left. And this time you don't start counting from 0, you start counting from -1. So the first one, when it's positive, it's 0. But the first one, or the last one, where it's negative, it's -1. So to make an example, let's print the last item, which is Moffat, and the first item, which is welcome, both simultaneously. Yes, Moffat, last item, and this. So what if I wanted to print the second last using the negative indexing? It would be -1, -2, just like I did here. -1, -2, -3, up until the start of your array. So I can print -2 and it works. So just like I promised you in our previous video, that the next video, which is this video, we're going to be discussing the negative indexing of an array. We've just explained how that works. And just to give you an example, let's tricky up the situation a bit so that you grasp the concept fully. Let's tricky up the situation. I just created a multi-dimensional array, but this time, instead of using the positive index, we're going to use the negative indexing. What if now I want to print the last bit of the array, and inside the last bit of the array, which is an array this time, I want to print the last one as well. So what do you think the answer will be? In my head, since I'm printing the last item and it's a multi-dimensional array, first I have to go to the last array, which is this array. And then from the last array, let me go to the last item in the array as well, which is, and like this, it should print my name. And indeed, it did print my name. So essentially, what I've been telling you, it's making sense. Now let's print the first item let's print the last item, but the first item and the last item, since it's an array. The first item is -3. -1, -2, -3, and yes, indeed, it is erased. But now we didn't discuss what if I put an index that's not in the array. Index out of bounds. Yes. List index out of range, which is an error that you will always get if you index things that are not in the array. So your array size, say it's 10 and you index 11. 11 is not part of your array, so the list index is out of range, which is an error you'll always get. Like I discussed in a previous video, we said we're going to be looping through arrays. So if you've been watching this video series, you would know how to use for loops by now. And now what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be using a for loop to loop through an array. So let me type and then I'll explain what I just did. Had to make it a simple array. So I just created my for loop without a range, without anything. So we know that our array starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you've been watching our video, and let's just put 4 for this argument's sake, I just want to see if you notice what will happen. And let's run this. Yep, like I said, it printed I. So you did, I don't know if you'd noticed, but this time I only printed I, but I didn't reference it to the array. Okay, now let's reference it to the array. Whatever number we're getting, we are making sure it passes through the array, which is what the concept will be like, looping through an array. So we already know that the numbers will be 0, 1, 2, 3. There also, I don't know if you see something wrong, but 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if you see something wrong because like the numbers here ended 3, but here on my array they ended 4. So let's loop through the array first. Welcome to Python. Welcome to arrays with. But the last item is not in the array, which brings us to the point that I made in the explanation of loops in our very first video, that you always stop 1 before the actual value. But now our actual value is 4. Our actual value is 4, but we need to stop at 5 because the loop stops 1 before. So for me to print the whole value, I need to plus 1 to the index of the array. So for me to print the whole array. And yes, indeed, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But the range function stops 1 before the actual value. So for me to get 4, I need to put 5 because it stops 1 before the actual value. And with that being said, you now know how to loop through arrays. It's been nice with your favorite Twitter Mo. Please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below, and we'll have your answers, your questions answered in the next video, hopefully. Thank you.